You are listening to Productivity Straight Talk with your host, Amber De La Garza. Amber is a sought-after productivity coach, trainer, speaker, and writer who gives entrepreneurs the straight talk on personal productivity. No BS, fluff, or overused jargon. Just actionable strategies to get results and succeed in business. And here is your host, Amber De La Garza, the Productivity Specialist.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to Productivity Straight Talk. Today is episode 265. I got operational efficiency, and you can too. If you're a business owner who wants to learn effective business strategies, improve time management, and elevate productivity to maximize profits, reduce stress, and make time for what matters most, then you're in the right place, and I'm so glad you've joined me. Today, we're going to dive into how I created operational efficiency in my business so you can gain insights on how you can create more operational efficiency in yours. If you haven't already listened to the previous episode, episode 264, Got Operational Efficiency, then hit pause on this episode and go back and listen to that episode first, and then come back to this one. I think that that's going to be the best order, and these are meant to be like a two-part series. So go back and listen to 264 and then come listen to 265. And now let's get to the straight talk. What I'd like to do is start off with a recap of 264. I mean, a lot can happen in a week, so let's just make sure we are on the same page. As a reminder, operational efficiency is the degree to which an organization can deliver its goods and services with minimal waste, meaning waste of time, energy, effort, labor, supplies, etc. And we also covered why operational efficiency is important. If you do not have operational efficiency, you can be unbelievable at delivering your services. You can be unbelievable at marketing and bringing clients in. Your revenues can multiply. However, if you lack operational efficiency, no matter how hard you work to provide a great service, it's like having a ton of tiny little holes in your boat. No matter how fast you're rowing, i.e., how hard you're working, your boat is still going to sink in a matter of time. In today's episode, I thought it would be insightful to share more with you about how I created operational efficiency in my business, knowing increased efficiency would lead to increased profits and reduced stress. I'm going to be going down the same list that I provided in the previous episode of 264, and I'm going to give you some examples of how operational efficiency has been created in each of these areas of my business. The first area is planning. I take planning very seriously, and I think that you can too. It's a skill set that I believe can absolutely be learned. And it is one of the most powerful strategies in our business. And I think that it is underestimated by many. And oftentimes because we have the thought that, well, nothing goes as planned, why should I plan? To me, planning puts you in the driver's seat, and planning allows you to be proactive and not just reactive in your business. So the ways in which planning shows up in my business is that we do an annual planning. I do it with myself, and then I review it with my team at a team meeting. And in the planning, I am going through looking at, what worked last year, what didn't work last year, what could work in the next year, what were the wins, what were the challenges. I'm also probably going to identify like a theme, like what does this year feel like the theme is going to be? Some of you may know this as your word of the year or theme of the year. So I start with the year, and I'm also looking at a higher level of like, what is the marketing plan? So when are we doing promotions? When are we doing special projects in the business? And these are just like little rough estimates of looking now at the months of like, okay, what are the themes? What are we doing on a quarterly basis? What are we doing on a monthly basis? I am also, when I'm planning the year, I am marking off all the time that I want to have off. Part of my own personal vision of success, both in my business and personally, includes quite a bit of time off to spend with family or do other things and hobbies and travel and other things that are not just business. And it wasn't always that way, so I will put that in full disclosure. Once I identified that's what I wanted and I claimed it, I started working towards that by planning for it and creating operational efficiency and looking at my business model to say, how can I make this true? So right now, what I would look at is, what is the time off I want in the summer? This last summer and summer of 2022, I was working 2.5 days for 4 months. And I also take spring break off. I take 2 weeks off for Christmas and New Year's. I take off a week for Thanksgiving. I am going to take off most, if not all, 3-day weekends because my son is out of school. I like to add a couple other 3-day weekends as well to where we might do a quick trip, or we're going to go ride our razor. And so we'll go to Utah or Arizona. And for me, that's about having a board up on my wall where I'm just literally marking it out. Now, the truth is, I don't take all those 3-day vacations. The truth is that there might be a shift in what the initial plan was. But I first want to prioritize based on my own priorities and vision of success so that I can get clear about what is the remaining available resources, meaning time, energy, attention, that of myself and my team, as I'm working through the rest of the strategies that we're going to be focusing on for the year. Then from a year, we do, like I said, quarterly. I'm looking at the month. I'm always looking a month ahead. But really, the day-to-day planning happens with my weekly wrap, and that's weekly RAP. That's review and action plan. That's where I review the previous week and make a plan for next week. That's where I'm getting clear about what my priorities are, what projects am I working on, what's my availability for appointments. I'm really laying the groundwork, the foundation for the week. And then each day I do a daily wrap. So that's a daily review and action plan. I do that at the end of the day. It's 10 to 15 minutes. I'm reviewing the day. And then I'm planning tomorrow with detail of what I'm doing, when I'm doing it, and for how long am I doing it for. And it's important to do that day by day because we always have to adjust the plan. And so based on what came in new today, meaning it could be an email, it could be another opportunity, it could be a project, it could be a cancellation in my schedule, it could be someone wanting to get on my schedule. These are things that I would not have known last week. And so when you have new information, you need to take that in and adjust the plan. It's like course correcting, right? So you course correct on a daily basis. So that is how I create operational efficiency around the planning. I think another area in my business that I do create a lot of efficiency in around planning is that for me and my business, this is not for you, maybe not for you rather. This might not be for you based on your skill set, and that's okay. You might have somebody on your team that can help you with this. But in my business, I am the project manager because that's the way my brain works. I can totally, work out projects. I can see what the next step should be. I can see who should be doing it. I can see in what order it is. And so if not you, then who in your business is managing the details of working out projects and getting them to the finish line? So I would say that with regards to planning and creating efficiency, we don't go into a project, half-assed. We don't just say, well, let's just see and figure it out. We're not sure how long this will take or what resources it is or what it might look like. I really go into it with a plan, and then I'm open along the way to, of course, be tweaking it and adjusting that plan. Next, your schedule and routines. Now, this does have a bit to do with planning, but this is more specifically, what does your actual schedule look like? So what days do you work? What days do you meet with clients? What days do you have team meetings? what time do you come in and what time do you leave? Does that look the same all week, or are you coming in later a couple days a week because you go to the gym or take a dance class? Are you leaving at the same time each day? So for me, I leave my office at 3:00, and that's when I go pick my son up. But he had a activity after school in this first semester. And so on Tuesdays and Thursdays, he stayed till 5. So I would either decide when I planned my week that I was going to work until 5, or I just got off at 3 and I did other things like personal tasks or whatever it is I wanted to do at that time. But I did have that flexibility of adjusting my schedule to 5:00 because I didn't pick up my son till then. Well, now it's a new semester. He's getting into basketball. His after-school activities are changing. And so now he's going to be late on Mondays and Thursdays. So this is just an example that we, while we want to plan, we want to adjust that plan. And we're always aligning it with our goals and what your vision of success is. So, but when you create operational efficiency around your schedule, there is some sort of consistency. And in one example I can give you is that if you're starting your day whenever you feel like it, or it changes from day to day, that's not really efficient. It's not an efficient way to be able to plan out your most valuable resource, which is your time and the time you can put into your business. If you're not there yet around your schedule and really having a consistent schedule, my recommendation always, the first place to start is by creating routines that work for you. And so routines is a wonderful way to create efficiency because these are going to be small habits stacked upon each other that when done consistently should be propelling you towards your goals. And what I recommend is doing 4 routines a day. So you're going to have a personal morning routine and a business morning routine, and then a business evening routine, and then a personal evening routine. And I have other episodes and blog posts that we will link out to the show notes that go into more detail about how to build your ideal routines that bookend your day. But just know that my routines are a cornerstone of the efficiency that shows up in my business. Next, spatial organization. Now, like I referenced in the previous episode, I do not associate if you're disorganized, you can't be productive, or that if you're productive, that means that you're organized. But I will say that there is, when you're looking at your business through the lens of creating efficiency, so being a very good steward of your resources of time and energy, having a disorganized space is not going to work for you. So for me, part of my routine, actually, just to tie it together, part of my evening routine is that I clear off my desk. So when I come in the morning, my desk is completely cleared off so that I can hit the ground running and not be distracted. Along with organization, I think that aesthetics matter. They matter to me. They may not matter to everybody. But when you're talking about creating an environment that supports you showing up your best, and showing up your best would be productive and efficient, my space is so peaceful. It's calm. It's colorful. It's got my favorite colors in it. I got some of my favorite things in it, and I've got plants in it. So I've created a space that is clean of clutter. And I maintain that on a regular basis, as well as aesthetically pleasing. Next, digital organization. Digital organization is going to be your email inbox. It's going to be where you save like all your documents in your business, whether that's, Dropbox or OneDrive or Google Drive, wherever you're saving your documents. What is that structure of organization? And I actually teach everything of how I keep organization about my inbox in my Conquer Your Email Masterclass. It's a low-priced, on-demand masterclass. That masterclass and the strategies that I share there is how I manage my inbox, and it's also how I've taught my clients to manage their inboxes. And that's worked for clients that have had 70,000 emails or 70 emails. It's not just about having an inbox zero. It's about learning a new way of interacting with your inbox. so that it's not all consuming. It feels like you are able to know exactly what it is that needs your attention, and you can get in and you can get out. On the digital organization side, we have file folder structures. And I think that to share with you, my methodology is simplicity. And my brain works that we consistently organize things in the business based on departments in my business. The same file folder structure you would find on our cloud storage is going to be the same file folder structure we use in our task and project management system. And what I mean by that is there's going to be a marketing department. There's going to be an offerings, which to me is sales. There's going to be a folder for clients. There's going to be a folder for back-end admin, like operations. And so the way that I think of my business having these separate departments is the way that we initially organize the folders. And then within that, we use subfolders to keep things incredibly organized underneath it. One of my favorite tips here that we use is 2 folders that I want to share with you. One is a WIP folder. So that's a work in progress folder. And you can either have one work in progress folder for the company if it's small enough, or each of your team members can have a work in progress folder. And what that is it's your go-to saving. Like you're working on something, you're in, you're out. You want to be able to access it quickly without diving into folders and subfolders. And sometimes we work on things and then we're not ultimately going to keep them. They might end up getting deleted, or there's multiple versions and we end up with the end version. And so when you have a work in progress folder, you can keep that organized. And then when you're done working on it, it gets filed away. Which takes me to another folder that I have found that has very much helped my digital organization, keeping it clean, is a to be filed folder. And if we know where the files go, of course, we're filing it where it belongs in real time. But you know that when you're on a website or you're downloading something or you're working fast and you hit download and you're moving fast, your default is, just save it to the drive or just save it into whatever folder and I'll get back to it later. That doesn't happen. And so what happens is you're not going to be using a organized file folder structure. So the way that I have kind of hacked that is that I created a to be filed folder. And so we use that when we know it needs to be filed away, but we're moving fast and we don't want to take the time in that moment to put it in the proper file. Now, this is where you can customize this. We have a recurring task that comes up. For me, for the amount of documents that we use, I clean it out once a month. And what that means is the task shows up as recurring. It says clean out to be filed folder. And then that's what we do. But you could do that on a weekly basis too. And then I also keep my bookmark toolbar clean as well. And I also have similar folders that say work in progress. So these are things that they're links that I'm going to be referring back to. I might not end up saving them. And then if I want to quickly grab a link and save it, but I'm not sure like what folder and I'm not going to slow down in the moment, I have a to be filed folder. And then I also have the other categories as well so that I can save bookmarks in a very organized way. Next, task and project management. We use ClickUp here. So we previously used Trello. That was years and years ago. We quickly grew out of that. There was better, in my opinion, much better options. And we landed with ClickUp. I am a huge proponent of it. If you are interested in ClickUp, we actually will link to it in the show notes. We have an article where I share with you exactly how to get started, what are the best tutorials, why I think ClickUp is a good option. And then you also get a 20% discount for life in the promo code that is in that article. So we'll be sure to link out to that in the show notes. My task and project management is exclusively used for nearly 99.9% of all communication in the company, with the exception, so maybe that was a little bit high of a percentage, with the exception of Voxer. I use Voxer to communicate small one-off tasks or update my executive assistant. And we use Voxer because she's virtual, like you would talk to your executive assistant that was in the next desk or in the next room with you. However, any tasks or, bigger projects, and all communication regarding projects happens in our task management system. We really want to keep that organized. We found a way that works for us. And I will say, you will find a way that works for you, and it will continually be tweaked based on what your needs are and new features that come out. Just know that it's not a one and done. You're going to set your project management, task management system up. And then over time, you might see that you're making these little adjustments and updates to make it work better for you. When I think of operational efficiency, I couldn't even imagine what my business would look like if we didn't have a very organized way to manage all the things that are happening between myself and the team. I really believe that, ClickUp is a great tool for that. Next, marketing. Where do I start with marketing here? Okay, so we have a lot of systems around marketing. The systems are really about making sure we are staying consistent with whatever strategies that we have decided we are going to move forward on. One of my marketing strategies, as you know, is podcasting. And podcasting for me is, I've been doing this for 5 years. And I remember that when I first started podcasting, I would not have known what really, truly type of commitment it was. And so over time, the processes have been upgraded and changed, but we have rock solid processes around the podcasting. And so I'll just give you some examples. First of all, we use ClickUp to manage each of the episodes. And then within ClickUp, we have a checklist of every single thing that needs to happen on an episode. And then each person on the team is got their own status. So as an episode, to me, I'm talking with my hands here, it goes from left to right. So from idea all the way to publication, there's about 7 different statuses. And depending on what status the episode is in, depends on whose responsibility it is. Like when it's under recording, that's me. When it's under post-production, that's Crystal. When it's under audio editing, it's going to be my audio editor, Justin. And so this allows us to be working on, between the 3 of us, multiple episodes at a time. Along with these very detailed checklists of everything that gets done on a podcast, we have what we call, I don't even know what we call it. It's a Google document for each episode, and it is every single thing that has to happen. So I'm looking at it right now. So from the very beginning, we have a template of each episode. You may have realized we start their episodes the same. We close out our episodes the same. Our transitions are the same. And so we have this framework. And then as Crystal and I are creating the episode, we are working through writing the script. And when I say script, I mean outline. And so we're writing the outline of the episode and we're naming it. And then literally this document goes on for 10 pages. And in 10 pages is everything from ensuring we have the episode tagged correctly. We have the email that's written to my email list. We have social media and that's written in there. We have literally every single thing that gets created. This is the place that if we wanted to know anything about the podcast, it all goes here. And it keeps myself and my team organized because it's like a template. It's fill in the blank all the way down. So that's just an idea to tell you that sometimes you need a little bit of a system to create operational efficiency. And sometimes the strategy you're using is very robust and complex. And so you would really want to have it nailed down as detailed as possible. And I'll be honest with you, the other reason why we've got this nailed down is because this is my number one way to market my business. And if something happened, if my audio editor couldn't edit or Crystal was out or she couldn't do this job anymore, everything is documented so that we can minimize skipping a beat and move forward because it's all documented. The other way we create operational efficiency in this example too, and we do this with our social media, is we batch. what you might see on my calendar are a couple days every quarter where I batch interviews. I'll do back-to-back interviews. I like to batch creating the content. So we may get an idea of the next, 4 to 6 episodes of like, what are those topics, nail down a title, and then we start working through the actual creating of the content. And then I will also batch the recordings of the episodes as well. That's really helpful for our schedule. It's helpful for efficiency. It's the only way we have ever gotten ahead on podcasting is by utilizing the strategy of batching. All right, I'm going to move on from marketing. That's just one example, but we have operational efficiency around most all other initiatives that we are currently doing for marketing. Next is sales. Our sales process is nailed down from the time somebody's landing on my website to make sure that the copy and the messaging is attracting the right person. And then from there, it's speaking to the right person that I can help, right? So it's calling them in. And that's really important because if your messaging isn't nailed down, sales will be a lot harder. You'll be talking to a lot of the wrong people, whether it's a wrong fit of your services, it's a wrong fit that they can't afford your services. And that is really inefficient of your time. So to me, it starts with the messaging. And then for my services, we do discovery calls, as you may know. And for the discovery call, we have a form that they fill out before they can ever schedule a call. And that form is asking them questions. And those questions are helping me better serve them on the discovery call. It's letting me know what they're looking for, what type of support they're looking for, where are their pain points in their businesses currently, what type of financial investment are they looking to make with this help. And so when I get on a call, now I'm on a discovery call, that's a very efficient use of our time because I can speak right to them and what their needs are and what they're looking for. And then on the discovery call, your discovery call to me is something that's worth working on because you want to be able to talk to somebody and clearly articulate how you can help them, what that's going to look like, and then you ask for the business. And it is a framework. My discovery calls are very, very similar, but it's an outline, right? Because the person I'm speaking to is unique. But there are certain things that I want to make sure we cover on our calls to make sure they can make an informed decision about working with me. And then from there, if they decide to move forward, everything is automated with regards to setting contracts and payments. And my executive assistant, Lacey, she's sending out appointments, inviting them to their onboarding sessions. That's for private coaching. They're deciding to join us in Leverage Lab. That's automated from the second they decide to join us and they hit pay on the order form. They get their login and they get automated emails. And so that's about where I think we'll transition to having a really good operational efficiency for onboarding clients. My team and I have very complete SOPs, so standard operating procedures that document every single step that has to happen, whether manually or automated behind the scenes, and we use lots of automation. The automation we use behind the scenes in the business is a program called Entreport. Now, I've been with Entreport for 10 years, probably a little longer. I think there's probably other products or programs out there that can do the same or similar. Entreport is a very complicated program because it can do so much. I am sharing with you that I use Entreport, but I'm giving you the disclosure. It may not be right for everyone. And so that's where we hold a lot of the automation with regards to onboarding a client. I have done things like sketched out in an Excel or a Google sheet of what is the experience, where are all the touch points, what is everything I want a brand new client to know, and how do we convey that to them, whether it's via emails or a welcome booklet or a bonus gift, or is it a phone call from my team? Is it a phone call from me? And we have an onboarding process either in private coaching or in my Leverage Lab program that goes on for about 2 to 3 months. So at first it's a lot of contact and then it dwindles off, and it's everything in there. And just think, it's things like, once somebody's been in your program for 3 months, are they in a place where they can talk to their friends about, or their colleagues or other business owners about your services? Wouldn't that be great if there was an automated email that says, I hope you're really enjoying the work that you're doing inside Leverage Lab or with Amber's private coaching? Would you be so kind to refer someone you think would be a fit? Here's our referral program. This was created over time, but imagine you're not thinking about it on a daily basis and you're able to increase the level and experience of a client by hand-holding them through it. And it creates so much efficiency. So when I did the last episode of 264, I had said, a great first place to start is creating operational efficiency around the way you serve your clients, because it's going to give you double the benefits. One, operational efficiency is letting you do more with less. So with automations and systems and processes, it's going to cut down on that time. And then the other win there is that you're able to provide a higher level of service because of the automations and systems and processes. And so you get a happy client, and they're much more likely, with a great experience, willing to continue to work with you, bring new projects to you, renew their agreement with you, whatever way in which your clients are working with you. And they're more likely to confidently refer you out to someone else. And so this is a great, great place to get it nailed down. These are separate to me processes, but they should literally link together like connecting dots. So we've got onboarding and then delivering your services. And so how do you actually deliver your services? Whatever your services are, what is that process? Where can there be automation? Where can there be checklists? For us delivering services, so for my private coaching, one of the ways we automate and take a lot of time off of myself and my executive assistant is we use a program called Coach Accountable. Coach Accountable allows us to book all of the appointments that my clients have. It automatically sends them reminder emails. It automatically sends them reminder text messages. That is very efficient because my clients show up to their sessions. They have been reminded. They're not missing a session, so no one's wasting time. But also nobody on my team is manually tracking all the clients I have and what their appointments are and are they being reminded. There's a lot of other things Coach Accountable can do, but that's one of the examples. Next, again, we're connecting dots. I think this takes us right to the next thing, which is communication with clients. I have a very specific way in which I'm communicating with clients. Communication with clients in this one, in Coach Accountable, one of the things that I utilize is that it automatically sends them an email 2 days before our private coaching session. And it's a check-in, and it's asking them very specific questions that I was able to create that allows me to get a recap from them of what's been going on, what are their current challenges, what questions do they have, they're rating themselves with regards to their productivity. And this allows me to do my homework before we jump into a coaching session. So I'm reading it, I'm doing homework, I'm putting it in context of other conversations and coaching sessions we've had. And so now, when you think efficiency, I am incredibly efficient because we're not chit-chatting about all the things that have happened. They've updated me, and now we can use our time to dive deep and go faster. By using a communication tool, they're able to get their head wrapped around their intentions. I'm able to get to where they're currently at. We can move faster. We also have a recap email that goes out with questionnaires, and that automatically gets sent to the client. The client fills it out, it gets emailed to me, and I read every one of them. And that is for them to summarize what their wins are, what their takeaways are from the session, and what they're committed to doing. That's one way that we communicate with clients. Another way for my Leverage Lab program is we have emails that go out every single Friday that say, what's next in Leverage Lab? It's going out to make sure they're getting it on their calendar, they're able to schedule around it. Those are just some of the ways. All right, we're going to go on to the next one, customer service. Lacey, my executive assistant, is also responsible for customer service, and we have SOPs around customer service. What we did was take what are the common customer service challenges that come up. And that's where we started. It's like, I lost my login. I paid for a product. I can't see it. I booked something and I canceled something. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. Now that I don't deal with it all the time, I can't think of all of them. But what we did do, the process, which is what I'm trying to teach you, is instead of thinking you need a process for every single scenario of customer service, you're never going to have it. I would just look at, okay, what are the customer service fires that I'm always putting out? Answer, how can we respond to that? Meaning, is there templated email? What is the SOP? How do we, troubleshoot the issue? Who is responsible for the customer service issues? Is there certain issues that only you handle? Are there certain issues that someone else on your team can handle? By making these decisions, when a customer service issue comes in, it's not going to be like playing hot potato. Everybody knows what it is they are supposed to do and how to handle it. By handling this and having a plan in place for the inevitable customer service challenges, it is going to allow you to respond to them faster and give them a higher level of customer service. And it just becomes something you do in your business and not a fire. And that's what we want to do, is like reduce those fires. And that is creating more efficiency in the business. The next area in your business to create efficiency is going to be offboarding clients. And I think that this is sometimes overlooked because we're so excited to get it right, onboarding, bringing on new clients, servicing the clients. But what I have found is that by having a process to properly offboard a client, it ensures that all your systems keep running efficiently and your business is going to be more organized. And I'll share with you what I mean by that. Offboarding process essentially is what I would start with, or what we did start with, is if we had our onboarding for, say, my private coaching clients, we would look at that and say, okay, what's the reverse of all of that? Do we need to archive their digital file in our system? Do we need to archive the folder in my inbox? Do we need to stop invoicing? Do we need to move them from status of active client to past client? You see, if you don't have a proper offboarding process, you're going to have a lot of disorganization. What that would look like is sometimes they get taken out of the training portal and sometimes they don't. Sometimes their file gets moved to archives and sometimes they don't. And when that happens, now think about it. We've talked about organization with your digital files. That's going to feel really messy. Another thing that we focus on with offboarding is sharing with the client what's next and also asking for a testimonial. This one step ties all the way back to your marketing. If you are looking to let the world know what it is you do and how you help them, it could be by adding one step of asking for testimonials from recent past clients. And if it's part of your offboarding process through efficiency, it's always going to happen. And so now that we're getting further down the list of these areas in our businesses where we can create efficiency systems, you can see how the dots start connecting and it becomes this whole ecosystem that supports each other. The next area is hiring. Now, in my business, we have a process and system for hiring. And that process and system was created over years. And it is something that I teach to my clients. I have an entire masterclass called Building Your Dream Team. And in that masterclass, I outline step by step my entire hiring process and all the variations you can choose depending on what role you're hiring for, whether that's an employee or a contractor. Is it a high-level role? Is it a low-level role? Maybe you'd be doing less interviewing steps because it's an entry-level position versus something that's higher level or more technical, or you need to verify a lot of experience. You may want to go through extra steps in the hiring process. All of that is outlined inside the Dream Team Masterclass. Well, that was created based off my own hiring process. So that is what we use. And I found, and I'm going to reiterate this because I did say this in the last episode, is that if you have a system, even a simple system for how you hire in your company, it puts you in the driver's seat. You are more capable, and I want to say empowered, right? Because you know that if you needed to let somebody go, you could, and you are confident that you have the process to get going right away to replace them. And you have reduced your liability in the business because if somebody quit on you, you know that you can pull that process out and get started right away so that there's not an extended gap between the time they gave notice or the time that they left and the time that you can get somebody back into that role again. So by having a hiring process, it ensures that your business runs more consistently and smooth no matter what you are experiencing with your team members. Next, team meetings. My team and in my business, this is how we run our meetings. First of all, I meet with my executive assistant virtually for 1 hour every single week. And it's very consistent. It's Monday mornings unless we need to reschedule, and then we reschedule it to Tuesdays if I'm taking the day off or I'm speaking or something's happening. But we really, really try to keep that consistent. And we almost never miss a week. The only time we would miss a week is if one of us was on vacation. And the reason that I'm stressing that point is because I truly believe that we need to show in our leadership that our team can depend on us. And so as my team is going through the week and maybe they have questions or they have something they need to bring up to me, they know that they get this recurring time with me. They get FaceTime with me and they can review or talk to me about anything that they need to talk to me about. And it gives them that consistency of support. Then with my content manager, Crystal, we meet once a week and we meet for 2 hours. And that meeting is structured differently. So I have an agenda as well. I'm usually the one that's creating the entire agenda. Crystal will add some things in there if there's some outstanding questions. But for the most part, we're communicating through ClickUp. And my agenda are based on projects or things that we are going to create content on. And those meetings are 2 hours because they are a working meeting. It is not just, oh, I'm giving you information. We are actually writing a presentation. We are actually writing the content for these episodes on Productivity Straight Talk. We are reviewing the work she has done for social media, and I'm signing off on it, and I'm giving her the green light. She could be making a workbook for an upcoming speaking engagement. And so in real time, after she's created it, I'm just giving her feedback. We're tweaking it and making sure that we're able to co-create that in various stages depending on what we're working on. So those meetings are 2 hours and I meet with her every Wednesday. And then I have a virtual tech VA. Last year, we met every single week for 1 hour. This year, we're meeting every other week for 1 hour. And the difference is a lesson in itself. So last year, we were building a lot and rebuilding a lot. We completely revamped my entire back end of automations and processes. So it took us having these meetings of reviewing the project, next project, getting feedback, and communicating based on that agenda on every week basis. But at some point, and it was around Q4, we really worked through all of those projects and we were on maintenance mode. And at that time, when I realized we had switched more to maintenance mode, because we want to ensure everyone's time is being used the best possible, we went to an every other week meeting. So what are the best practices? Have an intention, be consistent, make an agenda, and know what it is your intended outcomes are for each of these meetings. Now, in addition to these meetings, we have annual meetings where we're doing planning and I'm updating them on how we closed out the year and what they can see for next year. And that's everybody on the team. But because my team is small and lean, those are the regular meetings I'm having on a regular basis. Now, the other two kind of go hand in hand, but those are how you're leading your team and communication with your team. And for me, the process around how I'm leading my team is how am I communicating to them? And that's going to be via creating agendas for our meetings, how our meetings are structured, but it's also how am I actually delegating projects? How much detail am I giving them? How much leadway am I giving them, right? So am I leading them in a sense of urgency? No. Am I telling them, here's what the next project is, here are our deadlines, here's what the expectation is of these projects? That's a process in which I lead my team. And so right now, if you're leading your team from one fire to the next or urgency after urgency, that state of your business and the approach of how you're leading your team is actually, in my opinion, a system that can be improved upon so that you can be more proactive in how you're delegating and giving your team the proper time needed to do good work. Communicating with team. I just explained that it was meetings, but we also communicate via chat inside ClickUp, and we also communicate via ClickUp tasks inside each of the tasks or projects. With the exception of my executive assistant, Lacey, we use Voxer for communication. And the Voxer I use, like if she was in the same room with me and it's these little small one-off things and she's adding them to an agenda or she's adding them to ClickUp. And so I give her a lot of one-off tasks via Voxer versus how I use with the rest of the team is it's tasks and projects, and that is all 100% funneled through our ClickUp task management system. And lastly is the financial process. For many, many years, I've got to say it's probably been way over 5 years, I have used the Profit First method. And the Profit First method is a book by a guy named Mike Michalowicz. And if you have not read this book, I highly recommend it. We will link to it in the show notes. This book is one of the most impactful business books I've read. It was a lot of ahas, but it was very practical in how you can take action in your business to set up this method. We actually interviewed Mike Michalowicz as well, and I shared my experience with Profit First. So we'll make sure we link out to that episode. If you are interested in getting your financials in a very organized and efficient way and understanding your numbers and putting profits first, meaning owners pay, profit to build the business, I recommend going back and listening to that episode, and we will link to that. My financial process is that I do finances for 1 hour twice a month. It's going to be on the 10th of the month and the 25th of the month. And that ensures that my bills are paid by the 1st of the month and the 15th of the month. And in those systems, I have a checklist. And the checklist for the 10th of the month looks different than the checklist for the 25th of the month. The checklist for the 10th of the month is going to be reconciling my QuickBooks accounts, my credit card accounts. It's going to be looking at the P&L from the previous month and year to date. It's going to be looking at my balance sheet. And that ensures that I am staying as paced with my business and having current financial information to me as possible. So we are closing out each month by the 10th of each month. Then at the 25th of the month, we don't do those things because we've already closed out the previous month, but it's maintenance. It's paying bills, reconciling charges, updating the bank accounts. And again, I have a little checklist that I go through, and I can be in and out on the 25th, probably within 30, 45 minutes, depending on the month. And so by doing that, I can keep my finances organized. It doesn't become that scary monster in the closet where you're years behind, months behind, or you are kind of leading your business blindly and you don't know what your financials are. I think it's incredibly important to get some processes around that so that you always know where the financial health of your business is. Now, I want to say this about all of the systems. All of these systems I shared with you were not created overnight. They were created over years. And honestly, we're still fine-tuning and adding to them as needed. And you will too. You've got to routinely keep an eye on the holes you patched in your boat. Otherwise, you could spring a giant leak and be none the wiser. You will never get to a place where your efficiency systems are completely done. As your business grows and changes, you will need to have an assessment and a maintenance plan to identify tweaks or all-out overhauls are needed. One of the best ways we do that in my business to be consistent is to schedule audits. In our task list, depending on the role and the person that's assigned to it, we have recurring audits on things like my website. We're looking for, is it outdated? Did we update verbiage and it needs to be updated on the website? Is something broken? Is a link broken? What is the user's experience? And we do that on a monthly basis. Next, we are also auditing program access and ensuring that our training portal and training center is working correctly and as expected per tags, and that everyone can see what it is that they are meant to see. We also do a social media audit. And the social media audit is a feedback loop of, okay, so we had this plan, we executed on the plan, and we're getting that feedback of what's working and what's not working and what are some ideas to tweak. And so each time the social media audit's done, we're tweaking what our strategy is. Now, our payment system is all automated, and once a month, we're double checking that there is no failed payments that we may have missed a notification on. And that's simply a report that gets run once a month. And so we're just making sure that all the systems we're putting in place that are happening behind the scenes are working properly. Sometimes there's little glitches, and you definitely don't want glitches with your money. While some of these audits can occur on a scheduled monthly or quarterly basis, sometimes where audits are initiated because major changes in the business have occurred. Like maybe perhaps it's triggered by you making a decision about the way in which you're delivering your services, your pricing. Maybe you added a new role in your company. These are great times to say, okay, something changed. We made a different decision or we went in a different direction. Where do we need to audit the SOPs to make sure they're updated? And this is so important when you've put so much time and energy into creating these processes. The maintenance plan is what will hold it together. The maintenance plan is what will ensure that your team members know that the information is accurate and that you are prioritizing that they are using the most accurate information. As soon as your processes or systems are out of date, it is not going to motivate or give a message to your team members that that's the standard in which you want your business run by. Other times, an audit might become necessary when you discover that something's broken, like a glitch. Maybe you want to make sure that the same glitch doesn't happen anywhere else, right? And so you may have a glitch, you fix it, and you're thinking, okay, so where else might this have a rippling effect too? Those are great triggers to also go back and look at these systems. Audits are very important. In fact, they can prevent fires from starting in the first place. And they can also help prevent small fires from becoming catastrophic. Audits are like the maintenance on your boat to prevent future holes from being created and leaks from springing. If you would like coaching, training, and accountability support so you can run your business more efficiently, then I invite you to join us inside Leverage Lab. I would love to support you and your business. Head on over to amberdelagarza.com/Leverage Lab. I have loved having you listen to this episode of Productivity Straight Talk, and I sure hope you found today's episode to be valuable as I shared behind the scenes on exactly how I myself have created operational efficiency. But I need to be straight with you. No change, no change. Without taking action, nothing will change for you or your business. What is one hole in your boat you can start patching today? I want you to start there and then take that reclaimed time by creating efficiency in your business to invest in patching the next hole. This truly is going to be one of those examples of how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Choosing one step and moving through to the next step, to the next step, and to the next step, or rather the next process and the next process and the next process is going to be how your business will be completely transformed in the future. And I would love to help you with exactly that. Inside my Leverage Lab program, I personally coach you on how to run your business more efficiently, improve your time management, build and lead your team confidently, and make the right strategic decisions to lower your stress and be more profitable. If you are looking for that support in your business, then I invite you to join me on the inside of Leverage Lab. You can learn more and join us by heading on over to amberdelagarza.com/Leverage Lab. So that's my straight talk for today. Until next time, have a productive week.